Hello. Well, normally I spend a lot of time talking about the idiocies of the British legal system and our esteemed guardians of the law, the British police. However, this time it's the Americans who are going to get the spanking. You know, I have been around for a few years. And you'd think that by now I'd be starting to make sense of the world. And you know what? It's getting less and less to make sense the older I get, which is quite a depressing thought for everybody, including myself. So here we have a thing from a page on the Gateway Pundit, and it's about an incident in Colorado. Colorado in America. Colorado is not what I'd have thought of as a bunch of effete metropolitans. And yet this happened to two 10-year-old boys there. It says here, two 10-year-old boys arrested on felonies for playing with toy guns. And you'll see what has happened here. This photo was taken by Stephanie Carpenter, the mother, and it shows a policeman very nicely helping her son through a door. Isn't that nice? And you see the kid has handcuffs. He's got his hands cuffed behind him, a 10-year-old boy. And he's wearing flip-flops, if you see. Now, we know flip-flops are fairly easy to trip up over. And if that kid trips up over his flip-flops, he's nose down in the cement, isn't he? With just no way of protecting himself. And this policeman is very nicely opening the door for him. This is a disgrace. This photo is a disgrace. And it's not like this kid was being violent. You know, there's no suggestion even by the police that this kid was being resistant in any way. 10-year-old Gavin Carpenter led into jail. Photo by Stephanie Carpenter. A couple of 10-year-old boys were doing what 10-year-old boys do, playing battle with some toy guns. Then someone called the police on them. The two boys were charged with felony menacing and forced to do community service, among other things. Apparently what happens is this: if they do community service, then that's like a sort of payoff, and the crime for which they have been arrested is expunged from their record. So they're not going to have this situation which which I've spoken about in a previous video, where a British businessman tweeted what he thought was an amusing ditty about transgenderism or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, he had a policeman turn up at his place of work, which could have led to him being sacked, and the police know that. And what happened there was that this man happened to own that business, so there was no question of sacking him, and he took the police to court. And there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle about it. The situation hasn't finished, by the way, because although the judge said the police were overstepping the mark in questioning this man about the tweet, the judge did not say that the whole ethos behind this original investigation was wrong, which it is. And so Mr. Miller, Harry Miller, was the man who's involved in this story. He took the police to court. I don't know what you see. The point about Harry Miller was he was a wealthy businessman. These people, they're in the army. They're obviously not going to be very wealthy, because people in the army don't earn much and put their lives on the line to protect people. So, of course, they're really easy to get at, aren't they? Let's have a look at this story. A Fort Carson family, as they share this story, they came back over, told me this is what the kid says, told me my rights and told me what was going to happen. They put handcuffs on me and I got into the car, the 10-year-old Gavin Carpenter said. And the incident happened in July of 2019. Now, what was happening was this. He said they were playing a version of the video game Fortnite. The toy bow was an orange Nerf bow. It didn't work. Nothing could shoot out of it. You know, it doesn't matter if it could. If it's a toy, then kids are allowed to play with it, surely. Nothing would come out of it. The weapon, toy I had an orange tip. It was also broken and couldn't shoot anything out of it, Gavin said. Again, you see, although Gavin feels constrained to say that there was absolutely no way that a projectile could come out of these toys, the fact is they were toys. And children are allowed to play with toys. Gavin stated they pretended to shoot at about 5 to 10 cars until one man stopped. He said he and his friend ran to his friend's grandparents' house. And they're talking about the truck driver now. He slammed his brakes. That's badly spelt there. Not even by American standards. I think you don't spell brakes like that, do you, in America? Anyway, and started reversing as fast as he could. Gavin said he came up and started yelling, very heated, and was very mad. I was at the time very scared, as you should be if you're 10 years old and a man gets out of a truck and starts yelling at you. The man called the police. Okay, so this big, strong man called the police. According to the Carpenter family, El Paso County Sheriff's deputies arrived and arrested both Gavin and his friend. He was handcuffed and taken to the Colorado Springs Police Department for mugshots and fingerprinting. Colorado police, have you nothing better to do? Must have been a very quiet night there in Colorado, mustn't it? Well, I want to tell you, Colorado police, you've got some English woman here very angry with you. You great, big, stupid bullies. But it's not just the police, because the whole system agreed with them. Gavin's parents, Chris and Stephanie, followed the cars to the police station. They said that night Gavin wasn't released till 10:30 p.m. They immediately hired an attorney to help get the charge expunged. Yeah, I did say that. I don't understand quite the mechanism that's working here. They were set a court date, and when they arrived, they were taken to a separate room instead of seeing a judge. So it doesn't look like they had proper process either. It was just a hard no that the district attorney wasn't going to throw this out, Gavin's father, Chris, said. That is when we moved into the Diversion Program. All right, so the Diversion Program required Gavin to do community service, submit an essay, and other tasks. What did they make him do? Scratch his nose with his elbow and count from 100 down to 0 backwards? What are you talking about? These aren't obviously not violent kids. But you get one hysterical man in a truck, and suddenly the whole weight of the august weight of the American legal system descends. Have you heard the expression using a steamroller to crack a nut? God knows what harm you've done, because I'm sure Gavin, who is 10 years old, will have learnt a lesson about cooperating with the police for the rest of his life, and his parents certainly have, and they're in the army. And all of Gavin's friends. Are they to tiptoe around terrified that you're going to arrest one of them for coughing? The Diversion Program required Gavin to do community service, 10-year-old kid doing community service, submit an essay and other tasks. After 216 days of fighting it, the felony was finally expunged. Meanwhile, the family has been under stress for a whole year for nothing. The kids were playing games. You bullies. EPSO. Whatever that is. What, the police service something? You tell me. released this statement. If anyone is dissatisfied with the actions of any employee of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, they have administrative avenues available to them. We encourage citizens to take advantage of those avenues. Oh yeah, you scare the shit out of a couple of 10-year-old boys. I'll bet that made you feel really big and important, didn't it? You bullies. It says here, the Daily Mail adds, you know what? It does interest me. Tim Poole often quotes the Daily Mail as well. I'm just very surprised that an English newspaper gets quoted so often by American news streams. Surely you've got your own newspapers. But anyway, that's an aside. Gavin, now aged 11, had an interview with Fox 21. And we go through that. He was armed with this Nerf gun. When this truck stopped, Gavin and his friend ran inside a grandparents' home, Gavin's friend's grandparents, where a Ring doorbell camera captured the furious truck driver's confrontation with the family. He came up and started getting very heated and was very mad, Gavin told the station. I was at the time very scared. Yes. The video shared with Fox 21 shows the man dressed in a plaid shirt and baseball hat yelling, I don't know what kind of gun it is. It was some kind of gun. An adult inside the house asked the stranger to watch your mouth, please. So it means this guy was using some bad language in front of the children. And that really infuriated the driver even more. And he shouted, how about I call the cops? So a gentleman who obviously is used to more polite society by the sound of things. And the police, instead of telling him to off, they went through the whole rigmarole. This is Colorado. The driver made good on his threat and summoned deputies from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, who proceeded to arrest Gavin and his friend. Do you know what I think was going on? They decided that they had to arrest these boys because then they wouldn't be accused of not arresting some black kid. Yeah, I'm sure that's what's going on. They were thinking of the time when the police got trigger happy off a poor black kid who was playing with a gun, and they had to prove. It happens that my husband, who is not a young man, keeps getting pulled to one side in the queue at airports. They make this old man take his shoes off and his belt, and he's left there holding his trousers because they want to prove that they're not just going after Muslims. The whole thing is completely ridiculous. According to his parents, Gavin is now terrified of law enforcement. I'm not surprised. And suffers from flashbacks of his arrest. I'm not surprised. You're there, you're playing games, suddenly you get a couple of heavies and handcuffs slapped on you, and all because they had to prove a point, or because it was a quiet night. But even if they felt they had to go through the motions, the fact that they didn't throw this out once they got the kid and they could see there was a case of, at the very worst, a case of misidentification, rather. No, they went through the whole sordid mess. Stephanie Carpenter explained in her post that she has decided to talk publicly about her family's plight to educate other parents that this could happen to anyone with children. Yet, look, the point is she's wrong and the kids were wrong. Because there is no way of educating anyone about this sort of a random event. The capriciousness of the legal system, the unevenness of the way the law is, you just can't, you can't predict that. You can't be educated to avoid anything like that. Children play. She went on to say the family had plans to settle in Colorado for good after her husband's eventual retirement for the military. But all that has now changed. I'm not surprised. I can't live in a state where my kids can't be kids and play outside without being scared of being arrested, she wrote. The trouble is, Mrs. Carpenter, that I'm afraid this is going on all over America. I don't think Colorado is anything particularly weird. You've just got the police overstepping the mark all over the place because there's so much hysteria from various pressure groups. They become hysterical themselves. I fully believe schools need to be educating children that this is a possibility. What? That schools are going to tell them, next time you see a policeman, just run like hell because they're all bastards. Because that's what Gavin Carpenter's going to think for the rest of his life. Had Gavin known, none of this would have happened. No, that's not true. How could Gavin know this? Chris Carpenter is scheduled to be relocated to another posting in less than 3 months, and his wife says the move could not come soon enough as we are all ready to leave. She has expressed concern that her son, now aged 11, will spend the rest of his life dealing with the mental repercussions stemming from his brush with the law. Yes, he will. He won't forget this. And the next time he's standing by in a street and the police need a witness, he will be one of the people who will turn his back. And he won't help them because he won't want anything to do with them. I know I would if I were in that situation, even if I saw a crime being committed. There, I've said it. Because the police are, as far as Gavin is concerned, a bunch of bullies. And the district attorney, or whoever this guy was, the district attorney, there it is. The district attorney is a bully as well, and a stupid bully. They could say, look, we've had a complaint. You shouldn't point toy guns at passing traffic. That's reasonable. That is perfectly reasonable. But the kids were playing. There's no way a parent can protect a child from that sort of assault. No. So if this ever gets into Colorado, just let them know from me. They are a bunch of bullies. I'm not saying our police are any better. They're a bunch of bullies too. But I would have expected in Colorado that you would have had more sense there. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace to your profession. The DA's office is a disgrace to its office. Well, any of you who have watched a few of my videos will know when I see kids being leaned on in that sort of way, I get very exercised. So there you are. If you want to donate or contact, the information will be rolling over the Graniopteryx as I speak. Please like, subscribe and share because it does help with the algorithm. If you visit my channel on YouTube and one day discover that I've disappeared without warning, you'll still find me on BitChute or Minds. Just go to either of those platforms and do a search for Graniopteryx. If you're already watching this on BitChute or Minds, good for you. Meanwhile, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that you must keep checking the subscribe and bell icons because occasionally they reset. Till next time.